Build 2020. The people's history of the future. The Manifesto.
The modern civil rights movement was not a culminating point, nor a beginning point, but it was one of the most powerful and brightest moments in the history of the world. Future histories may very well record the 80s, 90s, and the first decade of the 21st century as one of the darkest and most destructive. This, of course, depends on what we do with this history from this point forward. All things come full circle again and again. The human experience is and always has been about survival. But the human experience is also about the divine reality that there is something beautiful about an existence worth surviving and dying for. Real progress is about continually building on smarter and more effective ways to regenerate the balance of things. Futurist Don Tapscott, author of HipGnosis, describes today's youth as the smartest generation ever. He acknowledges that his generation has left young people a world full of serious, deep, systemic problems. The balance of that reality is that the best examples of innovation are coming from young people. Tapscott is inspired by young people who are utilizing technology and the World Wide Web to fundamentally alter the way we innovate, govern, and educate others. Tapscott asserts that youth civic and political action are at all-time highs, as are SAT scores. This contrasts with the reality of high dropout and juvenile detention rates, general apathy among many young people, disinterest, and short attention spans. Yet the failures of our youth are not attributable to a lack of intelligence or a lack of desire. Our youth are failing because society has pathetically failed them. 1 in 5 children live in poverty in the richest and most powerful nation on earth. In 2010, nearly 1 in 3 children of color lived in poverty in America. By design, the period of 1980 to 2010 marked a dramatic shift in wealth in the US and global economies. Through Reaganomics, or radical free market capitalism, extreme wealth was funneled from the bottom to the top of society, from public to private hands. During the 80s, the corporate share of federal taxes fell to 15%. It was 30% in 1950. It is now only 10%, leaving everyday citizens to foot the debt and military bills, while corporate entities and their leaders collect profits. Between 1983 and 1989, the top 1% of households saw their net worth increase by 66%. 4 in 5 households saw their net worth decline. This is a snapshot of the economic policies of the 80s, repackaged and replicated by Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, and Obama. In 2010, depending on the calculations and the methods of calculation, anywhere from 1 to 20% of the population controlled over 90% of wealth in America. 2008 did not signal an economic crisis. It signaled a culminating point after 30 years of economic theft of the middle and lower classes. Politicians, corporate news stations, and mainstream economists keep the conversation about the economy in a box. This issue isn't really just a question of resources. It is a question of where the resources are stockpiled and why. The current economic order is not capitalism. It is a model of control and deprivation. Extremist Tea Party candidates across the US are now calling for an end to public education, an end to social programs, Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. Some corporatist economic and political thinkers are even calling for an end to government services altogether. Their agenda has been adopted and in many ways shaped by corporate investors, think tanks, and entertainment networks posing as news media. So the radicals that seek to end all social support now have real power. Their voice will ring loud in the elections of 2012, 2016, and 2020. The question is, will yours? In an era of extreme deprivation, it is not difficult to understand why so many of our young people are sick, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. They are living in a sick, unbalanced society that does not nourish the needs of their minds, bodies, or spirits. The forced economic deprivation of these young people worldwide is what's killing them, figuratively and literally. Yet many of our young people persist and thrive, stepping up to claim what is rightfully theirs, and also what their generation deserves. Real health, real opportunity, a stake in their own future. Technology is not the enemy. It is not something to fear. Tapscott and other futurists celebrate the fact that today's digital youth are wired differently, for the better. Wiring and synaptic brain connections are built between the ages of 8 and 18. Compare the brains of passive TV watchers who sheepishly await the narrative on the tube to active internet users who actively participate in knowledge creation. Not only by publishing their own content, but by figuring out the most effective and stylistic ways to do so. Should the internet remain an open source network that allows anybody to publish and access content without restriction or preferential treatment, today's youth will harness the tools that are necessary to make the world a better place. Futurist Johan Bergendahl talks about the revolutionary changes that broadband has brought to the way we work, the way we think, the way we live, the way we exist. Knowledge can be accessed from anywhere, and that is shaping the way we talk about, think about, and act on issues of human rights. Through Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, blogging, and developing technologies, millions of young people are proving daily that you can now express your notions of justice and equality from anywhere to people all over the world. The world has changed. Old notions of revolution remain a sliver in the ever-expanding mind of the collective consciousness. Today's battles and tomorrow's movements look different from those of the past. Our elders may not recognize or validate our principles or our methods, but the spirit of resistance and struggle persists, and our methods of representation, self-actualization, and collective empowerment continue to evolve. Our greatest lessons from history, recycled one movement at a time, are that no struggle is easy, no moment lasts forever, a situation never remains stagnant. Losing time-specific or issue-specific battles does not signal defeat, no matter how many battles we lose. We march forward and adapt, but we do so on our own terms, met again by forces that subsist only at the expense of our powerlessness. Every revolution is met with a counter-revolution, sparking new shifts and new revolutions to be fought, won, lost, and won again. One again.